Some of these ways. When we find the biggest things and I am here. It's just kind of it's real unfortunate.
Well, this too shall pass. Just reminds
Good evening. Harry?
Good.
Good.
Sunburn. Yeah, I was at the lake this weekend. Sorry I'm late.
All right. Give you a second. You good?
Yeah.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'll call to order the August meeting of the Oxford Planning Commission. Commissioners, you have the agenda before you. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. I hope you had a chance to review the minutes of the July meeting. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Ben, do we have a staff report this evening?
Just a quick announcement. For pretty much all summer, we've had the pleasure of having an intern shadow us in the planning department, and excited that he's going to actually continue that through the fall. We didn't scare him off. So this is Alex Abity, who's been with us a couple days each week throughout the summer, and like I said, he's going to continue through the fall. So he's joining us tonight for the first time in a planning commission meeting.
Welcome, Alex. Welcome. I'm sure you've learned a lot. Some of it might be useful. All right. Commissioners, please note there were 2 cases that were administratively approved. Are there any comments on the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. That takes us to our first public hearing. That will be case number 3114. Shadrack's Coffee has filed a request for a special exception as provided in section 3.8.9.5.b, drive-in service or drive window for property located at 2405 South Lamar Boulevard. Please let the record show that Commissioner Milam has recused himself. Robert?
Yes, the subject property is roughly a half-acre portion of a larger 2¼ acre parcel on South Lamar, which is located just south of the newly constructed Oxford Self-Storage Building, and it's right across from the intersection with Harlan Drive. The applicant is proposing to construct a drive-through coffee shop, and that site plan is currently under review by staff, and the special exception is in furtherance of that site plan. So restaurants with drive-through service are special exceptions when proposed in a TNB district. There are 2 existing curb cuts at the site, and the applicant proposes to make the southern one exit only, which will make the incoming traffic go to the northern of the 2. This configuration allows the applicant to have 11 spaces and a double lane on the rear of the proposed building, and about another 6 in a roughly single lane on the west and south sides, which is pretty similar in number to the stacking spaces that are at the West Jackson Shadrack's location. Other major elements of review for drive-through restaurants in the TNB include parking, in which the required 10 spaces are provided, and second-story requirements, which are met at 51%. And staff is working with the applicant to ensure that proper architectural elements are presented with the site plan. Staff believes that the amount of stacking is appropriate, but still has some concerns about traffic backing into South Lamar. And we request that the conditions that are similar to those that were placed on Duncan, the Shadrack's location at West Jackson, and Seven Brew are placed on this approval. And staff recommends approval of the requested special exception with the following conditions: that approval is for the plan as submitted, subject to necessary revisions by the Site Plan Review Committee, and that will include the architectural elevation updates. Shadrack's is responsible for the operation of the queue to ensure that it does not extend onto the public right-of-way. Sufficient staff shall be scheduled and designated to ensure that the queue does not extend beyond the red line noted on the exhibit. Appropriate replacements and substitutes shall be designated when the scheduled staff is unavailable to work their shifts. Any and all curb cuts may be closed temporarily and/or permanently at the city's discretion in the event that the queue is not managed within the site and extends onto the public right-of-way. And should staff determine that the stacking queue for the drive-through is creating a safety concern due to it not being managed within the site and extending into the public right-of-way, then the applicant will appear before the Planning Commission for reconsideration of the special exception.
Thank you, Robert. Are there questions from the commission?
Yeah, quick question. So the exit only, so when people come in and buy their coffee and then come back around the building, they're gonna have to go back down?
No, so the primary entrance and exit will be the northern exit. The southern entrance will be exit only for the parking spaces for staff that are there. Emergency egress, someone gets into the lane and figure out that actually they don't want to be there. So you're not locked into the drive-through immediately upon turning in. And that will also act as a ingress for environmental services to access the dumpster location on the northeast portion of the property.
So when you leave the drive-through window, you have to go out the north?
You can.
You can.
You can. You don't have to. Suppose you could go down to the southern.
I mean, you could.
I was just thinking if you
Yeah.
turn in and you're trying to also, both those people would be going the same, they would get crossed up, right?
Right, so generally there should be, you enter, come down, around, and then you exit. And those two flows, if you're taking that route, should not intersect.
All right, so if you're parked there though to get out,
Then you
you'd be
can
blocked in?
No, so there should only be a single lane of stacking behind that parking.
Yeah, I guess maybe, see if I understand what you're saying, but with the primary entrance and exit at the north end, when people come around the building and they're going north to get to that primary entrance, they're gonna have to cross the incoming lane to get out of the property, to turn left and then get on to South Lamar, correct?
No, can we put up the,
Yeah, do we have a figure to look at together? Well, I'm saying is they're coming around here.
Might want to have the engineer come up.
yeah.
Yeah, Joey, if you could come up, please. Yeah,
Good evening, Joey Moore with JM Engineering.
thank you, sir. So could you just explain the stacking plan to us?
Sure, so the drive-through basically ends on, I'm gonna say, the northeast corner of the site. So those guys they will head towards the exit only, not the exit only, I'm sorry, towards the exit on the north side. And so if you're coming into the site, you would come into the site on the northern entrance and take a right
Okay,
and
so
go
you
down. Yeah,
You make a 180.
yeah, so the drive-through is clockwise, or
Counter.
counterclockwise, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, we put the southern exit only entrance on there for, let's just say somebody was in that ADA spot, they back out, they don't want to drive around the building to get to the northern entrance to leave, so they can pull out right there. But then we do not want people entering on the southern entrance to cut people off that are maybe, if that stacking is stretched out to that point. So we want one entrance, and we're allowing that second entrance just for the parked cars to leave if they need to.
And there's one lane going through the drive-through, is that right?
There's a double drive-through on the rear of the building on the east side, yeah.
And then you can't go inside, right? It's no seating, so there's no reason.
That's correct, that's correct. I thought they have a walk-up window, but there's nothing inside.
So we shouldn't have anybody.
That's right, right? Nothing inside, right?
If someone was parked and they were trying to back out and there were cars and waiting in line, would they be able to back out with cars if they were waiting?
That's why we've got the stacking showing to where we've got it stopped, and I don't have it like wrapped all the way around the building. We feel that those 11 cars they feel like that's adequate for their business purposes. So if they told me that if they get more than 3 or 4 cars like stacked up in the drive-through, they're sending somebody out there, and their average time is between 3 and 5 minutes from somebody enters the property and off. So they don't see it stacking up any further than what I'm showing here. But in case of a hectic game day morning or something like that, we have this extra emergency, area on the property to where they could stack cars in there and keep them off South Lamar, which is the main goal. But yes, if it gets extremely backed up, somebody might have to wait, until they get it cleared out. But that would be a very rare occurrence.
I don't know, because it's the only coffee shop that's going to be in that area, so I don't know how rare it will be. I mean, there's a lot of I work down that road, and it's a very busy road, and bringing great business, but it's definitely something to think about.
Sure, and I'm right next door, and there's nothing down on this side of town at
Right.
all.
Other questions? Would anyone from the audience like to speak on this
Just for
case?
the record, we did receive 2 letters of objection. I believe those were sent out to the Plan Commission.
And they're in the file? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Please come forward and state your name.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Thornton. I have lived in this area since 2010, and I have no problems with the actual coffee shop. It's the fact that that section of North Lamar is extremely narrow. I use it daily, my family, ambulances, okay? If you don't live on that side of town and drive it and walk it, I walk it a lot, you have no idea. A traffic study would not tell you this. And something I noted that I see a lot, both school districts use it for their school bus routes. I just really think a drive-through is not the best plan. And I know the mayor was quoted in the Eagle on July 26, 2024, talking about North Lamar and developing it better than how South Lamar has been developed. And I really, really think we need to be more proactive with this. I think we really need to consider this, and I know Shadrack's has great coffee and wonderful people, but is it fair to put them out there saying, oh, y'all come on, no, y'all don't? I go that way. There's no alternate route. I'm not taking 7, sorry y'all, it's a hot mess. I work for the university, 1 child at Central, 1 child at OMS, and my husband works for the U.S. Attorney's Office on the square. But anyway, I really think you need to consider this plan of a drive-through. There are other coffee shops in town that do not have drive-throughs, and they are just as successful. And if we want to become a more walkable and bikeable community, perhaps we extend the sidewalk going from Kinney and Associates all the way to Paragon Bay. Okay, so then all the sorority women who live in Hooper and all the other college students off of Oxford Farms area could walk to the coffee shop. I really think this could be a wonderful addition to our area, but we don't need this type of drive-through at all. And then ambulances, I know I said that, but I live where I can hear them, and it's quite often at the Ellison and Bow Ridge, along with everything else. And then I know the exception, I would love clarification on this if possible. So the code 3.8.9.5.b states the drive-in service or drive window pickup facilities, blah, 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 onto an access roads. The only road is South Lamar. So where are we going? I get Shadrack's on Jackson Avenue is great. There's lots of space to back into, okay? Even Duncan. they have a little bit of room. Y'all, the bike lane there is even narrow. I mean, I should have walked it and seen how many feet it is. It's very narrow there. So in the morning, I do think there's a better way. And you could still have a great coffee shop that brings the community together, maybe by people who bike, all the walkers, and people will still be there. Do we need everybody in the car all the time? So anyway, that's all.
Yes, ma'am. A clarification on the code, I think, and Ben, please comment, but where it says access road, it just means the road from which the business takes access. That's right.
So not access roads.
It's not a frontage road like we have along the highway.
Gotcha. Because they're
From which it takes access, so you don't want, I think with the code and that provision is saying that you don't want to have the road from which this property takes access have queuing back into it, creating safety hazards.
Gotcha. So and then here is my neighbor. I do have a question. If it is backed up, do we call Shadrack's? Do we call the city? I mean, do I text somebody? I mean, just in all fairness, I live in a neighborhood with probably the average age is 75. So what are we doing? Do I call code enforcement?
I think you can. I think you can call the police department about a safety issue.
I mean, I'm being serious. I mean, and especially just in all fairness, I mean, y'all, go tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, go the week the Ole Miss students go back to school, August 26th, and you will see the traffic. From about 7:10 to 7:40 is when it gets insane. And to live 3.4 miles from my office and you leave before 7 a.m. is crazy.
It sounds like we have another 6,300 freshmen coming. So.
Right, so yes, but anyway, that's it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I appreciate the challenges on South Lamar. I'm sure Mr. Murphy does as well. I think we've been concerned with multiple businesses that have drive-throughs. You mentioned Dunkin'. A lot of that was precipitated by the Starbucks that's on West Jackson and the safety issues we've had there. We've gone to great lengths, I think even reflected in the conditions that staff has suggested here, to make sure that the drive-through is contingent on appropriate traffic flow and no safety violations. So I think your concerns are built into the consideration so far. I'm not saying we should have one or we shouldn't, but in terms of trying to allow a business to be in this place and still protect the safety of the public, I think that's been handled as best we can in what's here. Any other comments or questions on that?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
It's really, I guess, the heart of what I'm asking right now. So the city can still, going forward, I mean, after it's been built a year from now or whatever, the city can still do like number 4, like close curb cuts, even after?
That's what we did 7 Brew last month and the month before, and that was kind of the same deal that they had to agree to. They said if they can't manage it, then, anything's on the table.
What would be the first, so if they were gonna do, what would be the first curb that we closed?
Pope's not here. I think Pope had some conversations with the owner of 7 Brew that kind of.
I am here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And let me speak to it real briefly, and I like to say this with the developer's representative there, that since this is a condition of the special exception, something you do not have to grant, that if the planning department and or the police department determines that it is indeed blocking traffic, then the special exception is no longer satisfied. The city is not taking a business, they're simply taking the special exception back. And I hate to explain that in such, laborious detail, but the developer who builds this building knowing that a condition of the special exception is that the queue works and doesn't block traffic on South Lamar is building it with that risk in mind. And I just want that as clear on the record as it can be, because as you said a moment ago, this has been true now for 3 places, and I happen to keep showing up at these meetings, but it's true here as well.
Yeah, so just to restate that, the business doesn't have a permit by right to have a drive-through at this location. So it's at the city's discretion. That's the nature of a special exception. So we can put these kind of conditions on there. And if they violate the conditions, the special exception is no longer valid and they can't have a drive-through. So,
That's correct.
yeah. Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the audience? Questions?
Joey, and you might not know the answer to this, do you know if they, I guess, anticipated opening day?
We've kind of talked about that. There's some stuff to go through. I think we were hoping for maybe January when the students come back, January, February. That's kind of the goal right now, but it's very fluid at this moment in time.
And the reason I ask that is I think, obviously, the concerns center around the traffic. And I understand wanting to open when students are back, but I might
How about December?
discourage,
soft open-
but also
opening.
encourage opening around a time when there's not going to be a large influx of our students coming back to try to get this traffic under control.
Understand.
All right.
One more quick thing, actually. So staging for construction purposes,
It's, so really the enticement of this site to Shadrack's is that there's an existing concrete pad there. There's an existing like roll-ups, old style storage building there. So the goal is to basically leave the concrete in place that they have there now, tear up the storage building that's there, place the Shadrack's where the storage building was, add some parking spots in there, stuff like that. So we will leave that concrete pad there. So you've seen the Shadrack's on Jackson. It's kind of it's a small building. So we feel like we can get everything staged on that existing concrete pad that's there now. So keep everything off the street.
Sir, good question. Any additional questions from the commission?
Well, if there is an issue with the stacking going into the street, once again, who do they call and how many times does it have to happen before we shut them down? I don't know.
Well, I think that might be a question for Pope. I mean, it's both a safety issue, so the police department's appropriate. It's also a code issue, so code enforcement. But I think most people are going to be more familiar with the police. Pope, can you comment?
Yeah, it's a good question. And sort of remarkably, we have not had the problem, or it has not been extensive in the other two where the same condition was attached. I think, I don't prejudge how our code enforcement makes its policing decisions. But if it decides that any building is out of compliance with its zoning or with its conditions of operation, it'll almost always go by and warn them and say, you're out of compliance, you need to fix this problem. When the police decide that they need to tell them they're in violation of the land development code is really a policing question. And, we have a community-oriented policing that it probably won't be the first time they go by, but it may be the second or third time. And that's what I've told each of the engineers or developers as they've left at these other meetings, that we don't have it in for you, but if you can't fix the problem nearly immediately, you're going to be closed and you built a building there. So that's the answer as best I can give it.
Well, I think in fairness too, in these instances, in one places, we haven't had all that many instances, but we've been pretty proactive in our communications in the lead up to businesses opening and also the monitoring. So, Catherine, to your point of who do you call, you may not have to call anybody because we're certainly being, mindful of this and watching. There was concern related to, y'all remember the discussion about Chick-fil-A and, the new Chick-fil-A that opened, and it's something that we've been monitoring over the last week as they've opened, and we will continue to monitor as they open, and we've had conversations with their management to ensure that they're being mindful and proactive and ensure that they're not creating safety hazards. So it's not like, we're just sitting back and waiting for, somebody to call us to go and take a look at it. We're certainly mindful of these issues.
Yeah, I mean, just to make a little more explicit what you're saying, there are several city staff that will drive by just to see how things are going, even though they're not code enforcement, for example. So I think everybody's mindful of new businesses opening that may have an impact on traffic flows. everybody in town is sensitive to traffic flows when students are here, so, yeah. Any other questions from the audience? If not, is there a motion on case number 3114 for the special exception to allow drive-in service?
I make a motion we approve, subject to the staff conditions.
There is a motion to approve, subject to all the staff conditions listed. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
It is granted, Joey, just to note, with those special exceptions, those conditions that manage the stacking. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us, can we collect Commissioner Milam, please? Thank you, sir. Our next case is public hearing for case number 3115. Rise has filed a request for multiple parts. A is a special exception as provided in section 2.6.7, first floor residential. B is special exception from code 3.5.3.2.b, districts permitted, dwellings attached. And the C is a special exception as provided in section 3.5.1.2.c, districts permitted, dwellings detached for Rise property located at 1886 Reserve Loop.
Thank you. These properties are located at Oxford Way. They're near the roundabout just west of the archive development. The requested special exceptions are to facilitate a mixed use, primarily residential development located in the northeast, southeast, and southwest portions of the roundabout, and is called Rise Ole Miss. The properties for this development consist of 3 different zonings. They include traditional neighborhood business, that's primarily around the roundabout, suburban multifamily, which is actually all located in the northeast portion of the property, and then neighborhood residential, which has a sliver, I guess, on that northeast portion, but it's on the west side of it, and then all of the southern portion below the roundabout. The total area for the proposed development measures about 12 and a quarter acres, with 2.75 acres being TNB, about 5.5 being suburban multifamily, and almost 4 acres being neighborhood residential. While a site plan for Rise Ole Miss has not yet been submitted, the conceptual plan provided with the special exception request indicate a total of 216 residential units with a total of 510 bedrooms. The development intends to provide a mix of housing types available for rent. Rise Ole Miss offers detached cottages, attached townhomes, and stacked flat multifamily units. In addition to the mix of housing types, the development proposes a mix of bedroom types, the majority of which are 2-bedroom units with 55%, and then 15% are 1-bedroom units, 11% are 3-bedroom, and 19% are 4-bedroom units. The building located in the northeast corner of the roundabout will function as a leasing office. It has a clubhouse amenity associated with it. It also has about 1,200 square feet of retail and also contains 2 1-bedroom units located on the 2nd floor. There are other amenity areas throughout the site, including a dog park, pickleball courts, dog wash station, fire pits, and there's even a maintenance building on site. So the applicant, and this is item A, the applicant is requesting a special exception which would allow for ground floor residential in the TNB district, which is the south side of Oxford Way. The proposal indicates 2 multifamily buildings, and they have a total of 27 units in each building. This request is to allow 18 units to be located on the ground floor instead of some type of commercial business. The applicant states that there is a small portion of property around the Oxford Farms roundabout that is zoned TNB and is in each corner of the roundabout. The project team sees the city's intent of having some commercial spread throughout the community, but they, as well as the current landowner, have serious doubts about the ability to lease the non-residential use in the area. The Oxford Farms development has struggled to find tenants for the previously approved landing project near South Lamar Boulevard, which was approved for 32,000 square feet of commercial use. The buildings have not moved forward with
You've been muted. To unmute yourself, press *6.
The buildings have not moved forward with construction due to little interest in the proposed space. This property does not have frontage that the landing project exhibits with traffic on South Lamar and is tucked into the residential area of Oxford Farms. The development is proposing to utilize the northeast corner of the roundabout as their clubhouse and amenity area, and by utilizing the other 3 corners of the roundabout as purely residential, it's actually 2 corners, as purely residential, we believe that this will keep in harmony with the overall development.
You are not allowed to unmute. To raise your hand, press *5. You are allowed to unmute. To unmute.
A multi-use path has been constructed along Oxford Way that connects this development to the proposed commercial uses near South Lamar side of the development. The density limitations for TMB is 39 bedrooms per acre. There's approximately 2.7 acres of TMB, which allows for a total of 107 bedrooms. The development proposal indicates 128 bedrooms in the TMB district, 21 more than allowed by code. However, the applicant is below the bedroom density limitations in the suburban multifamily district, and we have worked with the developer to create a layout that complements existing developments along Oxford Way. While the site plan could be revised to incorporate the additional units in the suburban multifamily district, staff believes that the design and the consistency with the neighborhood would suffer. For these reasons, staff is willing to support a special exception request as provided in 3556 for residential density bonus for only the 21 bedrooms depicted in this conceptual plan. Additionally, we would incorporate a condition that the unused density in the suburban multifamily of the development would be reduced by the 21 bedrooms to account for the bonus. So with A, while staff believes that having commercial opportunities in this area is desirable, we do recognize the challenges of the particular location and attracting business opportunities due to the property being located on the interior of the Oxford Farms development. So staff recommends approval of the requested special exception with the with 3 conditions in your staff report. Also, with this is B, the applicant is requesting a special exception to allow 4-bedroom townhomes in the NR district. Special exception is required when more than 25% of the townhomes are 4-bedroom units. And in this instance, the applicant is requesting to construct a total of 20 townhome units, all of which would be 4 bedrooms. Due to the mix of the housing type and the unit types that are provided in the development, staff is supportive of this request with the 2 conditions. And lastly, the applicant is requesting a special exception which would allow 4-bedroom detached units. In this instance, the applicant is requesting to construct 10 detached cottage units, all of which provide 4 bedrooms. And due to the mix of the unit types and the bedroom type, staff is supportive of this request with the 2 conditions listed. There's a whole team of folks here that can speak to this request on behalf of Rise Ole Miss, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ben. 2 quick questions just about transportation and neighboring properties. I noticed on the...
About what?
Transportation and neighboring properties. I noticed on the drive-by that there's a notice on the county property just to the west. Do you know what that notice is about and what the current zoning is?
I don't know what the current zoning is for the county, but I do believe that there is somebody looking to rezone the property for more housing.
Okay, thanks, sir. And then for the road that comes north out of the roundabout, what's the ultimate endpoint for that?
Yeah, the endpoint for that would be to tie it into Belt Boulevard,
Okay.
Where the hospital is.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Other questions?
Can't really tell, and I didn't pull it up, but how far is that from the Belt Boulevard intersection? Is it at the far, I guess, the far edge of Oxford Farms?
It's about 3,000 feet, I think, somewhere around there.
Okay.
From that roundabout to Bell.
It's about 3/4 of a mile.
In that corner, are there any of the other roundabout corners T&B? I mean,
all 4 corners of this roundabout are T&B.
I mean, I know, but are there other roundabouts within the Oxford Farms that are T&B?
The ends of the...
Just that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This end is suburban
Okay.
center, suburban center at the east end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just some clarification. in the staff report, it says 24 bedroom units, but on this drawing, it has 30 townhomes.
Joey, could you come forward?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's 30. You got 2 on the south side, very southeast corner. So it should be 6.
Yeah, that's
6
right.
buildings.
6 buildings, should be 30.
Getting taken a look.
Circle of death.
Any questions for me?
I guess the question you said that I guess the property owner had issue with the commercial. Is that the when we approved to have commercial 2 stories, and I think that was for another intersection where we approved, I think, commercial on the top 2 floors, maybe, and just residential on some other buildings, but it was an overall development instead of mixing them.
The landing? I mean, is this in the Oxford Farms
Yeah,
itself?
yeah.
So the landing did have, you know, some commercial buildings, but I think there was one that was all residential, and
And the
then,
one was like all commercial, I remember, yeah.
2 of them. So we had one all residential
and 2 all commercial.
And those are the buildings that Ben was referencing in his report that we're having no interest in leasing the commercial.
And just for the record, Kirk, that was their statement in their application.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess this is a comment for Joey or for the applicant in general. I mean, the trouble I have with it is not with the density in B and C, it's just with the ground floor residential. I mean, we just had members of the community come and say, ask us not to do a drive-through because there's too much demand. And now we're being asked to do away with some of the commercial space that's in the Oxford Farms area. And so, you know, that's part of, and then there's gonna be more residential on this road.
Sure.
There's potentially gonna be more connectivity up to Belk from this roundabout, making it more of a thoroughfare. I mean, when this is the only commercial that's between the 2 endpoints on Oxford Way, it's a tough sell for me.
Well, you know, look, and I'm an engineer, not a real estate mogul by any means at all, but I know the one thing that we've seen since commercial's been a hard sell since COVID. I mean, I would love to be doing nothing but commercial projects, we just haven't seen it at all. But the thing about this is, the one thing I do know about commercial is you need traffic and you need visibility. So South Lamar has a decent traffic count. I mean, we're seeing, you know, these businesses come in, hey, we need 30,000 cars a day driving by if we're even to be interested in coming into a place like this. This is tucked away. There's no visibility from Old Taylor. There's no visibility from South Lamar. There will be no visibility from Belk. So like the only people that will know it's there is the people that happen to be driving by through there. And unless you're living in Oxford Farms, we don't feel like that's gonna be a high number of people. So the casual person driving through up and down South Lamar is not coming down through here. And so we've got a lot of visibility on that commercial space at the landing up front off South Lamar, and very nicely designed buildings and very nice, you know, space. And we have done everything we can to try to get something going before we're out a bunch of money building buildings that we can't find a tenant for. All the site work's been done. I mean, all the storm drain, all those utilities been put in, the parking lot's been put in, but there's no buildings up there front because there's just no interest. But what we are having an issue with is student housing, and that's just where we're at right now. But I mean, just in my experience, if it hasn't been a bank, a gas station, or a coffee shop since COVID, it's been really, really hard. But that's what we're seeing, is we just need visible, and this is just tucked in there into a very, it's all residential all around this thing. The sites are, you know, the corners are small. I mean, they're I don't know what you would really put in there to make it work. I mean, if it's office space out there or something like that, I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
I'll tell you a little bit.
I'm Andy Falca, the developer. The land planners I have for the landing don't want me to have any drive-throughs out there. They want to all be, the buildings up close to the road, parking in the rear, and all the retailers, they want to drive through, and they want the parking in the front. Well, I have built the landing. I've, put all the infrastructure in, built the paths, built the parking lot, hoping I would have some leases before I went vertical. But we've been like that now for over almost a year since all that's been built. Everybody wants a drive-through, and just this new type development, they don't want it in there. And that's the reason Shadrack's, like I said, I can let you go up here to this old mini storage and it'll work there in the zoning, but my land planners won't let it go in here. So since I haven't had any interest in it, I am looking at making those 2-story buildings y'all were talking about, taking the top, adding a 3rd floor to it, and doing the top 2 floors residential. And that way, if the bottom still remains vacant, it's not just a death knell to me. But retail back here in this roundabout, that's never going to happen. I'm trying to make it happen on the front, but we're going to come back with a site plan amendment. The buildings are being redrawn right now, adding the 3rd floor, and then I'll bring it back to y'all and say, hey, can we build this here? And that will be next month. That's the only way I know how to take the risk out. I minimize the risk.
Sure, I understand. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Other questions?
Joey, are these for rental or for sale?
This will be rental. So one owner owns them all. Rise, that's what they do.
For anybody, just for student housing? You said student housing for.
I mean, I guess anybody could rent them. I don't think they're going to discriminate.
Yeah, I wasn't insinuating that. I just didn't know if the market was to market it for student housing versus just general housing.
Sorry, we were just clarifying the number of 4 bedrooms. So there are the 34 bedroom that are building type, what is this, building type 8?
Yeah.
That are the attached, and then there's a separate block that's the other special exception that are the detached 4 bedrooms, correct?
That's correct. The 10 of those, the 10 detached and the 30 townhomes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Other questions or comments from the commission? The audience?
Quick question, Ben. This is maybe too mundane, but it's got to do with the traffic and just this whole congestion concern. But do you have any idea, has anybody said anything about how long before that road is connected to Belk Boulevard?
I can talk to that. I had a meeting Friday with Baptist. They don't want that road coming out on Belk. They would prefer it to go straight out and hit Old Taylor Road, so all this traffic just goes straight north, and it'll be just south of the sub power station, and then you make one right turn and you'll head to campus. I provided a traffic study that the previous engineer asked me to do, and Neil Schaefer approved that. The city does not want it to go there. They would rather it go around the existing right-of-way and align with Nicole Drive, come out on Belk. The hospital's concerned with that traffic going out to Belk. So we're trying to work that out now. The TIF is in place, and I'm ready to build the road either direction, just wherever, somebody tell me where to build it. The problem when the city got the right-of-way to build the road is only 50 foot, there's no temporary construction easements. And so as we go up and down through these hills and hollows, we've got to get outside that 50 feet. And we can't get the construction easements yet. Hopefully we're going to work something out. But I was in the meeting with the people at Baptist, they called Bart, so we're all talking to try to find a resolution. And obviously we need it built sooner than later. And I'm ready to build it just as soon as we say, all right, you've got the easements, you go this direction or you go that direction. I'll build it either way. And I'd like to do it quickly.
Just for clarification, where's Nicole? Is that just what runs around the east side of the substation, or?
Yeah, just across the street on the north side of the
Okay, gotcha.
Whatever that building.
Oh, I see, gotcha, all right. All right, any final questions or comments? If not, we'll go through these individually. Is there a motion on the special exception for first floor residential? Let's come back to that. Is there a motion on Part B for the special exception for dwellings attached? 4-bedroom.
And that's in the NR district?
Uh,
That's not in the TNB.
Right.
Yeah,
It's not the TMB, it's in the NR, and I think there's a sliver in the suburban.
I'll make a motion to approve B, subject to the 2 staff conditions.
All right, there's a motion to approve Part B, the district's permitted for 4-bedroom dwellings attached. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. And then on Part C, is there a motion for the special exception for the 4-bedroom dwellings detached? Last call.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve that and C.
All right.
Subject to staff conditions.
There's a motion to approve, subject to staff conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. So let's go back to the special exception for ground floor residential. Is there a motion, one way or the other?
Make a motion to approve, subject to staff conditions.
There's a motion to approve, subject to staff conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor? Two. In favor?
Yeah.
All right. All opposed?
So all in favor, I've got David, Joseph, Aaron,
You'll only-
Just me and JR opposed to it.
Yep.
just making sure.
All right. They're granted. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And that brings us to a public hearing for case number 3117. Al Chaddock has filed a request for a variance from section 5.8.4.4.A.2, neighborhood conservation overlay side yard setback for property located at 1503 Johnson Avenue. Robert?
All right, subject property is a residential parcel in the neighborhood conservation overlay in the South Lamar Historic District. Applicant is seeking to construct a rear addition to the existing house. The new construction for this addition will be fully inside the setback lines as provided in the neighborhood conservation overlay. There is an existing non-conforming detached garage that sits closer than 5 feet to the property line and closer than 5 feet to the existing structure. The proposed addition will connect to the existing garage to the primary structure, thereby making it part of the primary structure. And then this will de facto put the primary structure over the required setback line, despite no new construction happening in the setback. And so staff believes it proper that the applicant seeks this variance as the garage structure is changing in nature from detached to attached, and thereby changing from an existing nonconformity into a new nonconformity. The applicant contends that this is an existing condition that is not being exacerbated, as the proposed new construction would take place wholly inside the required setbacks, and the building and fire departments do not have any life safety concerns with this proposal. As such, and because the existing condition is not exacerbated, staff believes that this is a reasonable request, and staff recommends approval of the requested variance with the 2 conditions, and we have a letter of support from, I believe it's the rear neighbor.
Thank you, Robert. So there's a lot of technical language, but basically, this is housekeeping so they can put an addition within the allowed area?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, sir. Any questions? Anyone from the audience? If not, is there a motion on case number 3117 for the variance?
Motion to approve the two staff conditions.
There's a motion to approve with the two staff conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks, sir. Our next case is case number 3118. Lifestyle Communities LLC has filed a request for city utilities for Fieldstone Farms Phase 8 property located at Fieldstone Lane. Kate?
Okay, so this is a request for approval of city utilities for Fieldstone Farm Phase 8, which will be located on Fieldstone Lane inside of the Fieldstone Farms development. The property is located in Lafayette County, slightly outside of the city limits. In 2016, Fieldstone Farms was granted city utilities for all of the existing development, which is now constructed. This proposal will include 12 units with 36 bedrooms located on a parcel of around 1.94 acres. There are 12 units proposed, each with 3 bedrooms. They're arranged in 3 fourplex buildings. 36 parking spaces are proposed, 1 for each bedroom in the new development. The engineering department provided comment on water and sewer and stormwater management, and staff is recommending approval of the request for extension of city utilities with 6 conditions. And this will be a recommendation to the mayor and board. So it'll go to the mayor and board after this commission.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? Is the applicant present? Joey, I've got a question about the parking. Parking, yeah, I noticed there's a comment in here that there's no guest parking proposed, and I don't know, you may have been following that we had some discussions about consensual and non-consensual towing recently and the importance of guest parking. So I was just wondering about the plan not allowing any guest parking.
Let's see here.
I mean, I guess there's not being any guest parking is an interpretation. There's 1 parking space per bedroom.
I will say this, that this was submitted back in February before the change happened, before y'all changed the code. Sure. So this would have been enough at that time, but I do see what you're saying. It looks like we can go back and we can add a few there at the entrance if we want to. I don't know how many we're short. I think you need, on a 3-bedroom, you need 1 per, still every 3.
No,
I think it's compliant.
Yeah. I think what he was referring to is some issues that we had with towing ordinance, but I believe that you meet the ordinance, but there's 1 vehicle per bedroom, and there's no overage. I think that was the concern.
Sure. We have done this over the years, and we have seen that if you've got 1 per bedroom, that's the number that works. The theory is always, well, you're going to have guests coming in from another development, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and the thought is, well, now it's emptying up spaces wherever those people are living at, and the same thing will happen here. But throughout, I'll just rattle off some that we've done, especially out at Oxford Farms. That, the mill was the one that we learned on, where we didn't have enough parking, you didn't have 1 per bedroom, and there were serious issues out there. But stuff like at Stillwater and Adelia, these 1 per bedrooms, at least hitting that number seems to work. So, Brian, I don't know if you've seen anything out there that where you're at, on the other phases of this that you've seen that we need more parking than what's 1 per bedroom.
Good evening, I'm Brian Hill, the developer of Fieldstone. Started Fieldstone in 2017, and some of the first units that we had come online were our fourplex buildings. We were building houses at the same time, but we just finished them up, and we have seen, I don't have statistical exact data, but I will say that 60 to 70% of our buyers are probably second home owners. Fieldstone really doesn't attract the students near as much as the developments that are up in Townmore. So when I drive through Fieldstone, you know, all the time, year-round, I never, ever, ever see our parking lots full. Never. So on the original development, I believe we have one per. I believe truly that we're overparked. If y'all drove through there at any point in time, you would see that we have more parking than we ever need. But, you know, we'll do what we need to do. But I hate to create a sea of asphalt if it's truly not necessary. And we've never, to my knowledge that I've ever seen, we've never had a car park out of a parking spot because they couldn't find one.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Other questions? Anyone from the audience? If not, and this is, Ben, is this a recommendation?
It's a recommendation to the mayor and board of Aldermen.
Yeah, so we're just making a recommendation to the mayor and board for city provision of utilities. Is there a motion on case number 3118?
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation subject to any of the staff conditions noted.
Motion to approve, subject to staff conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Our next case is case number 3119. Oxford Commons Lots has filed a request for a final plat for the Heights phases 10, 11, and 12. Property located at 713 Primrose Drive. Kate?
Okay, so this property is located south of Sisk Avenue and west of Buddy East Parkway. The 3 phases of the Heights, these 3, were originally submitted as part of the Oxford Commons master plan. And the 3 phases will be the site of 40 lots. All the lots are under half an acre in size, and they all comply with the dimensional standards in the code. Tree mitigation and open space is governed by the 2016 tree mitigation variance and the 2019 PUD plan that requires that there's at least 14% of land preserved for tree mitigation and 20% open space. And those areas are indicated on the plat, but that will require an update to the tracking spreadsheet for the tree mitigation and the PUD to indicate the location of the area to be dedicated, its size, how it's conserved, and whether it's considered part of the tree mitigation requirements. The engineering department provided comments on infrastructure and stormwater management, and staff is recommending approval of the final plat with 9 conditions.
Thank you. Are there questions on the plat? Is there anyone who would like to comment from the audience on the plat? If not, I'll entertain a motion on case number 3119 for final plat for the Heights phases 10, 11, and 12.
I move to approve with the 9 staff conditions.
There's a motion to approve, subject to staff conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Plat's recommended for approval. Taking us to case number 3120, MFM Development has filed a request for a final plat for Colonnade Crossing Phase 4, property located at 800 Concordia Avenue.
Okay, so the subject property is around 3.22 acres, zoned suburban corridor, and is located in Colonnade Crossing. It sits north of Highway 30 and west of Highway 7. The applicant proposes 1 lot, and the 3.22 acre lot meets the dimensional requirements of the underlying zoning. The engineering department provided comment on infrastructure and stormwater management, and staff is recommending approval of the plat with 4 conditions.
All right. Are there any questions?
The engineer's on the line if anyone has questions for him. John Granberry.
What's that? Hey, John. It's a nice stash. From now on, you need to be in person with that, so. Any questions or comments from the commission or the audience? There was some question about the lot numbering, but I think we got that straightened out.
Yes, John provided us with an exhibit with the correct lot numbers. It's been added to the online packet and will be with the case file.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, is there a motion on case number 3120 for the final plat?
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to staff conditions.
A motion to approve, subject to staff conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. That takes us to our final case, case number, yes.
In his defense, his daughter made me be Luigi for Halloween.
I don't believe it.
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, please do.
Fast forward.
Our final case is case number 3121. Herod Healthcare Real Estate has filed a request for a site plan approval for Oxford Medical Office Building for property located at 735 Belk Boulevard.
All right, subject property is a little bit less than 4 acres, a portion of the larger Baptist Hospital campus, and it's located at the corner of Belk and Nicole Lane. The applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct a 1-story, 25,000 square foot medical office building. Medical offices are reviewable as a special use in the institutional medical district if they are 25,000 square feet or less, and we've got that application and will be approved at the time of site plan approval. Parking for medical offices is calculated at 1 space for every 250 square feet of gross floor area. Parking minimum would be 100 spaces with a maximum of 125, and 124 spaces are provided, so 6 of which are ADA accessible. For coverage, allowed is 80% and 48 is proposed. For other review elements, landscaping package has been included that indicates parking lot trees, frontage trees, foundation plantings, and landscape screening. All that meets the requirements of LUC. Building and screening, proposed elevations indicate primary building materials, brick and fiber cement, siding to match material and color of Baptist Hospital, and stucco and aluminum screen wall will be accent materials. For access and sidewalks, the site will take primary access from Belk Boulevard on a drive that will have shared access to the north. A secondary access is located on Nicole Lane, and sidewalks already exist on Belk and Nicole, and the applicant has proposed internal sidewalks that will connect to the existing network, and as always, a separate approval will be required to ensure compliance with the signage requirements of the Land Development Code. Engineering provided comments related to access, water and sewer and stormwater management, and staff recommends approval of the site plan with the 5 conditions that are listed in the staff report.
Thank you, Robert.
And everybody's online if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm wondering if there's been
Well, could you come forward, please, and just, could you come forward, please, and just state your name for the record?
yeah, my question concerns.
We have folks online.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Hi, yes, I live in Oxford Station 2, which is at the bottom of the hill from this property that's going to be developed. In years past, as of course everybody knows, water is a huge concern in the city. In years past, we have lost part of the incline or the berm or whatever you would call it going up to that hilltop flat property. So I'm just curious as to whether there's been a hydro engineer consulted and how you plan to shed water not on our way.
Yes, so as part of the site plan, a stormwater management plan has been provided and has been approved by our stormwater engineer in-house.
So the stormwater management plan, to do the development, they have to create a plan to capture and route all of the water that falls on their property. So if anything, it should help the situation because it'll be routed to a detention basin and then somewhere else. Yeah.
I mean, they're hardscaping part of the property, so there'll be less absorption. So you will have to shed it somewhere.
Yes, but it'll be routed through a system.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that is my major concern.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Belinda Hopkins?
Any other questions? From the commission?
I have no questions because I can't get the internet to work.
You can use mine.
It's okay.
From those with internet, are there any questions? Yes.
There are a few folks online, you just might want to double check, make sure that they don't have comments.
Yeah, does anyone online wish to comment on this case or have questions? Half the people online are you.
That's what I say, half of it.
Yeah, all right. If there are no comments or questions, is there a motion on case number 3121 for the site plan?
I don't know how many recommendations there are, so.
There are 5 conditions.
Make a motion to approve with the 5 staff conditions.
There's a motion to approve, subject to staff conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second to Commissioner Murphy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the site plan approved. Is there any other business to come before the commission? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.